this video, we're going to be looking at how to write the chemical formula of ionic compounds that just contain simple ions or monatomic ions. So what we need to know is that on the periodic table, we have these elements, and these elements tend to form ions, these charges. So recall that charges are kind of listed right here. It's not really listed, you just have to remember them. It's +1, +2, +3, skip. -3, -2, -1, skip. Okay. What we're also going to need to know is that these ions, they're charged. However, the ionic compounds, when the positive and negative ions come together, the ionic compounds are neutral. Okay. Ionic compounds are neutral. Okay. Let's take a look at our first practice problem. So what we have here is magnesium chloride. We're going to need to know the charge of magnesium and chloride. So we take a look at our periodic table. Magnesium is found in the second column, so it has a +2 charge. Chloride is found in the 7A column, so it has a -1 charge. Remember those, because we're going to list them. Magnesium has a +2 charge. Chloride has a -1 charge. Now, these charges, these ions rather, they want to come together. But remember that a neutral compound is, an ionic compound, when they come together, they want to be neutral. So right now there's a +2 total and there's a -1 total. It's not going to be neutral, so we're going to need another negative ion, like so. Okay, so now we have a total of -2. We also have a total of +2. It's going to cancel out. That's good. So when we write our chemical formula, we need to make sure that there's just one magnesium ion, but there are 2 chloride ions. Okay, so our chemical formula should look something like this. See how it says MgCl2? Because there should be 2 chloride ions. Let's take a look at our second example. In our second example, we have lithium oxide. And we have to know the charge of lithium and the charge of oxide. So let's take a look at the periodic table. Lithium is right here in the first column. Oxide is right here in the 6A column. So we should know their charges. Lithium is +1, oxide is -2. Remember that, because we're going to write it down as scratch work. Lithium is +1, oxide is -2. So do these charges cancel out? Well, we have a +1, we have a -2. No, we're going to need more positive here. We're going to need another lithium ion, don't we? So if we take a look at it, now look at the charge. There's a total of +2 charge now. There's also a total of -2. Good. Now it's cancel. The charges are canceling. We just got to write the chemical formula now. Now in our chemical formula, we need to make sure we know that, okay, there's actually 2 lithium ions, and there's only 1 oxide ion. So 2 lithiums, only 1 oxide. So our chemical formula should look something like this. Li2O. Take a look at our next example. We have potassium nitride. We're going to have to find the charge of potassium and nitride. So let's look at our periodic table. Potassium is right over here, and nitride is right over here. So K, +1, N, -3. Remember that. We're going to go ahead and write this down. K, +1, N, -3. Do these charges cancel out? Well, we have a -1. We have a +1 and we have a -3. They don't cancel out. So we're going to need more positive in this case. Now there's a total of, let's see, +2. There's still a -3. They still don't cancel out. So we're going to need more positive again. Now we have a total of +3 and a total of -3. They do cancel out. Great. So we can write our chemical formula. And in our chemical formula, how many potassium ions are there? Let's see. There's a total of 3 potassium ions. And there's only 1 nitride ion. Alright, so our formula should have something like K3 N. Okay, K3N. Let's look at one last example. In our last example, no, this is second to last example. In our second to last example, we have sodium chloride. What's the charge of sodium? What's the charge of chloride? So let's take a look at the periodic table. We have sodium right here, and we have chloride right here. Okay, sodium is a +1, chloride is a -1. Remember that. Let's go ahead and write this down. +1 for sodium, -1 for chloride. Now, +1, -1, do they cancel? They do. They cancel already, so we can go ahead and write our chemical formula already. How many sodiums are there? There's only one sodium ion. How many chlorides? There's only one chloride ion, so chemical formula, real easy, NaCl, one of each. Okay, now let's look at our last example. Our last example is going to be aluminum oxide. So what's the charge of our aluminum ion? And what's the charge of oxide ion? Let's go ahead and look at our periodic table. Aluminum is all the way over here, and oxide is over here. Okay, so Al is a +3, O is a -2. Remember that. I'm going to go ahead and write it down now. Al +3, O -2. Do these charges cancel out? They don't. We're going to need more negatives. So let's add another oxide ion. Now, in total, we have -4 and +3. They still don't cancel out, so we're going to need more positive this time around. Let's put another aluminum ion. So in total, we have a +6 charge, but we only have a -4 charge. We still need more negative charge this time, so we're going to keep going. Let's add another oxide. So in total, we have a -6, and we have a +6. Great. The charges cancel. We can go ahead and write the chemical formula. So how many aluminum ions are there? In our chemical formula, there should be 2 aluminum ions. How many oxide ions are there? There's a total of 3 oxide ions. In our chemical formula, we should write that there are 3 oxides. Okay, so let's go ahead and write this down. We should have Al2O3, right? Okay, so you can go ahead and practice some on your own now, and take a look at the answer key when you are ready.